Welcome, everybody, to the Wellness Founders Podcast, where we explore the business of wellness and the people creating the future of wellness. I've got a special guest with me today, Mr. Nick Velardi of Live Primal Being Supplements, company that helps people thrive with organ supplements. And some of the ones that I saw in there: beef brain, testes, liver, all the good stuff that you don't want to be eating, maybe raw or at all. If you could take a pill and get the same benefits, maybe even better. And Nick, we met a long time ago now. I think it's getting close to getting on the other side of 5 years, so closer to a decade than not. And we met in Thailand on a trip, super fun. I think we were 4 guys and 30 girls on an EF college break tour trip. Even though I was in college, it was they allowed you to sneak in, I think, even if you were in your late 20s. And we've worked together on some projects, on some content projects. You currently work with one of my business partners on your ads for this particular business, which is super cool. And I've loved to see your connection grow with him. I just want to welcome you, man. Welcome to the podcast, and thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, buddy. Let's dive in, because your story, is interesting because you have this parallel life of running a software business as well. That's not quite related to wellness, and we'll not go too much in depth on that particular business. I think today is more on, this supplement business that you've been building mostly on the side of that, but has now seemed to become, a main income driver for you, a main focus, something that you're super passionate about. Take me back to that first decision to be I'm going to go into this industry, this supplement industry, which is what I imagine a difficult industry to be in. And I'm going to create these products. I'm going to source really awesome ingredients for these supplements. Take me back to when you made that decision, and why did you make that decision?
Yeah. So we started the company in 2022. We didn't know much about the space. It wasn't one big decision that we made. It was more so a series of experiences that led to us really diving deep into organ supplements and launching products. So in 2022, my fiancée, Katie, she's the co-founder of Primal Being. She had a bad bout with COVID where she was in the ER twice. She had some really bad long COVID symptoms, anxiety. She had brain fog. She wasn't back working. She's a cardiac ICU nurse. It took her a couple months to get back to work just because of these effects that COVID had on her. So she is a big researcher. She tried a lot of different supplements, and one that made a huge difference for her was beef brain. And at the time, we had known about organ supplements. We had known that they were, beneficial. They had a lot of unique nutrients that you couldn't find in other foods. So the main brand that she had got the beef brain from, it was actually mixed with liver and other ingredients. So we wanted the targeted benefits of just the brain, or she did at that time. And we asked ourselves, hey, do you think other people want to experience these targeted benefits as well? That the brain gave us, that single ingredient organ supplements could potentially give us. So we had a gritty story early on where we were packing the bottles ourselves in our 2-bedroom, 1,200 square foot apartment in Atlanta. And it would take us about 2 hours to package 2 bottles. And we'd have to seal them with a hair dryer, and we would put them on Amazon, and they would fly off the shelves, right? And I had known about Amazon as a distribution channel because I built a brand prior to Primal Being on there. So that's where we got our start. We had we decided that we wanted to do a full swing, and we ordered 1,500 units of the brain. We partnered with a manufacturer. We partnered with our New Zealand source where we get the powder. And then from there, it kind of just blossomed into what it is today. It's been a few years. We have 6 SKUs now, 6 products. And the first 4 were all targeted single ingredient organ supplements, because a lot of people do consume liver even outside of organ supplements, and you can overdo liver and it can have some negative effects if you develop vitaminosis or consume too much of it. So that was our whole premise. It was to, uh, really attack single ingredient supplements so people could target their benefits towards their cognitive health or male hormonal health with our testes product. So that's really where the journey had ultimately led to. And we plan on launching more products and really, digging deeper into the space.
And if you were to break down, if we're looking at purely the business side of it, and this is what I love about this podcast is like diving into the details around the business. It's like you have different chapters of business, different stages of business. There's this first one where you're like, we're deciding to do this, and it's based on a problem that we're solving for ourselves. Great. There's probably other demand out there. What were the different chapters and steps that went along with getting it to where it's at now? So you're in your apartment, you're trying to figure out how to bring this brand together. Like, how did you think about the linear nature of what you were going to do to bring it to life?
Yeah, so our main growth lever was launching new products. We weren't experts on Amazon PPC, so we had some support. We contracted an expert to help us with that. But the main growth lever was launching new products because our category was experiencing a lot of tailwinds. So that was what we focused all our energy around. We didn't really even have a website channel. We didn't have an established website. We were focused only on growing through Amazon, building our brand, getting subscriptions. So with the brain product, that got us from like 0 to about 500 units a month. And then as we were launching new products, we saw even more demand for products like our male vitality or testes, which is, again, a single ingredient product, solely grass-fed, grass-finished beef testicles, freeze-dried from New Zealand, which has the best agricultural standards in the world. So once we started launching those new products, we really saw our growth go from 0 to 500 units a month to close to 2,000 units a month, which we achieved this year.
It's awesome, man. So you talk about product being one of the main lever here. Tell me what goes into launching a new product, and like what are all the steps that you're taking? It sounds like you probably have systemized that quite a bit more now as you're at 5, at 6 SKUs. Like when you're at 1 in building 0 to 1, there's a very different approach. What have you learned in that process, and how, if you're talking to someone who's new to this, what are all the steps that you did to and do to launch a new product?
Yeah, so early on, we had no leverage or pricing power with manufacturers or um, suppliers of the powder from New Zealand. And we've learned over time that New Zealand is, they produce only so much powder, so we have to get an allocation of that powder from our supplier. And really where we were from the start was having access to one distributor that was connected to a lot of different farms in New Zealand, and that distributor was really our ride or die. So we had one source that we could go through, and we had one manufacturer at that stage. So we were so small, and we had such a small minimum order quantity with these manufacturers that they didn't take us that seriously. So as we grew, as we scaled, we were able to get more attention from other manufacturers. We were able to get more pricing power. So we were able to achieve better margins. We were able to have a more diversified supply chain. So we were, now we have a Rolodex of different manufacturers that we can go to for these orders. And same with our supply side, the powders that we source, we have different farms, we have different distributors that we can get access to. So really, developing and expanding our supply chain, that was a big part of what gave us leverage and allowed us to be at the point where we're at today.
And what goes into that type of communication and negotiation? Because obviously you're not in New Zealand. So tell us about that process and going from that one, like how did you find that first one? And then how did you, are these DMs or these emails that you're sending or referrals you're getting? Like how did that work?
Yeah, a lot of all of that. So we had manufacturers reaching out to us. We had new suppliers reaching out to us because they saw our brand growing. And then we also got new referrals from these new manufacturers or new suppliers that they used and they had worked with other brands partnering with. So, the combination of all those forces, and really it was propelled by the traction that we got, that gave us these introductions that we really leveraged to start to expand our supply chain.
And I want to go back to the branding piece because, you said you first started, there's no website, there's kind of a name that's maybe like a shell name of just like, hey, this is our brand. How did you start defining like, what does the brand actually feel like? What does the brand look like? And your stance and perspective on what to start creating content wise?
Yeah, so we were highly inspired by companies like Heart and Soil Supplements. We wanted the brand to feel like us because it is only Katie and I running the business. We're the ones that work with all of our team members directly. We work with our suppliers directly. So, we have our story on our website. We have pictures of us. We use very neutral, kind of ancestral looking colors and branding to reflect our lifestyle because this is, we're consumers ultimately of our supplements, and we're sharing them with loved ones. My parents, my brother, our close friends are some of our most active customers. Just the other day my friend was telling us about how the brain was improving his HRV. So really having the brand feel like Katie and I feel tied to our lifestyle, and sharing our story was really important to us early on. I will say I don't think we're there yet on the branding side. That's actually a project that we want to undertake soon to ramp that up and focus on that part of the business, because really we were an Amazon brand to start and we're trying to become more than that today. So the Amazon side is not mastered, but it's at a kind of predictable level. So we can really start to focus on the side like branding at this point and get it from where it is to another level.
And tell us about some of the challenges and also the benefits of, the Amazon side and how you relate that to the separate brand, because obviously Amazon as a distribution channel can kind of make or break some of the success depending on how they feel about what you're doing. There's a lot of influence they have on initial distribution. And then as you're looking at getting outside of that, like, tell me about that process and what other people might expect if they go through that.
Man, how much time do we have? Because we've had some big hurdles with Amazon, and most sellers will tell you a version of this story. It took us for our most popular product, our Testes product. It took us a solid 3 months just to get through compliance with Amazon. So getting the proper documentation to them, really abiding by their strict rules, which sometimes feel arbitrary, can be a big challenge. So, mastering that distribution channel does require a lot of tenacity. And, the PPC game is a whole different ads platform that, um, you know, is specific to Amazon. So having expert resources to be able to, uh, really master that part of the Amazon game is important. So yeah, it's very multi-layered. But the quicker Amazon rises as a form of distribution, the quicker we can, and this has been the case for us, the quicker we can move into other distribution channels that we think have a lot of upside.
And tell me about those. Tell me about like the marketing and, the difference between advertising on Amazon, advertising on Meta. You've got all these different platforms. Where are you bullish? Where are you going to be investing your money? Where are you going to be investing your time? And do you have like a mix of that you have as a strategy of like 25% here, 60% here? What are you thinking?
Yeah, so these are questions we're asking ourselves right now. We're I would almost say beginners, if not intermediates, with the Meta ads game, with the TikTok game, for example. That's another distribution channel we're evaluating and trying to put more chips on. So, I'd say we're starting with a small allocation of our marketing budget towards Meta ads, and we're really trying to build our ad creative pipeline. So we have some volume there to test. And then, once and all of this is interconnected, right? Because we can see if our brand search terms on Amazon go up based on the meta ads um, numbers that we're looking at. So I'd say that we're in the early stages of really fully executing on meta ads. That's our main focus right now, just to drive subscriptions through the website, because that's where margins are best for us. Amazon does take 15% from sellers, at least in our category. Sometimes it varies per category. So the more we can move away from Amazon into our website channel, into TikTok shop, into Instagram shop, the better, the better we can feel about diversified distribution channels.
And what are you noticing as far as like resistance to that with potential customers? You feel like everyone's just like, oh, I just want to buy on Amazon because it's so easy and I already have everything there. I don't want this separate thing. Like, is that something you get as feedback or you see or you're tracking?
Yeah, we do. Which is why Shopify is doing a great job at making it easy in that sense with Shop Pay. And, they're building competitive advantages that I think are going to make it as convenient as buying something on Amazon. So, we have a lot of people that will reach out to us through our website. They'll ask us questions about our different products, and then they'll go buy it on Amazon because it's so convenient for them. So we don't push back on that. We really do want to not be so dependent as a business on Amazon as our distribution channel. So it's definitely an obstacle that every Amazon brand, growing into other channels experiences.
Yeah. When you think about the content and messaging side, what do you feel like's been working content wise that people are resonating with? What do you think? What's been adjustments in your messaging as far as the benefits? How have you looked at that whole side of it where you want to try to reach those pain points? You want to try to talk about the benefits. You want to see what people are reacting to. I'm sure with the paid stuff, you're getting some data on that. What are you seeing?
So we're seeing that there is an education curve to organ supplements. We went from a world of people looking at us through Amazon as a more single ingredient targeted option in addition to a lower cost option, right? So the beef brain, uh, most popular beef brain supplement on Amazon was priced at 68. We came in with the same amount of beef brain, single ingredient. We assumed that people would want just the targeted benefits from beef brain, and we priced it at 43. So we gained market share for that price point. We didn't gain market share because people knew our brand. So we're finding out that for the people that don't know about organ supplements, where we want to grow the market and be a leader and have that authority to our brand, we really have to educate them on the benefits of organ supplements, and that's typically through a long form type of ad creative, whether it's a podcast, whether it's somebody talking about it and people staying engaged. So having the right hooks, having the right positioning of our products against some of the challenges people are seeing. Like, for example, our testes addresses something that is you know kind of unheard of today, the fact that our testosterone levels are lower than they've ever been. It's a bit of an epidemic. And so because our testes allows people to naturally produce more testosterone because it targets our testosterone producing factories in our body, we're able to talk about that a little bit more and help people understand that they don't have to get on TRT. They don't have to, choose options that are synthetic. They can address it naturally, and we just need the forum to be able to expand on that.
So let's go through each of the products and let's give you a time to shine. Tell us about the tell us about the messaging for each product. Like, what is the main thing you want to get across if you were to educate people on the value of each of these supplements, and you want to take them one at a time? That would be great.
Yeah, so I mean, the brain is our OG. That specifically has nutrients like DHA, EPA, phospholipids, like brain-derived nootropic factors, which is essentially a protein that enhances cognitive health, neuroplasticity, long-term cognitive function. So the why people use beef brain is because it has such a concentrated form of all these nutrients that you really can't find in other foods. So I'd say that's the perspective on brain. Testes, I think I just went over. It's helping males balance their hormones, helping them, with a wide range of hormonal, aspects of their health, whether it's libido, whether it's energy, overall mood. So that's our hero product. If you want to label it that, it's our top seller on Amazon. It's our top seller through our website. It's had some profound benefits for a lot of people. I had to stop taking it because my testosterone was so high that I wanted it to to kind of be a little more
Whoa, quit
normalized.
bragging, dude. Quit bragging.
No, it's a part of a lifestyle. Obviously, it's not a silver bullet. Getting sun's important. Exercise. It's one piece of a bigger puzzle. It's not. Uh, it won't change somebody who is unhealthy to suddenly having strong hormonal health, right? So just wanted to call that out. Otherwise, yeah, we have the colostrum that typically addresses any gut health challenges. The immunoglobulins in colostrum are essentially what help us fight against bacteria or anything that will infiltrate our immune system. So, colostrum is a very popular product. We competing in the colostrum game is very challenging. I think the New Zealand sourcing, the low temp pasteurization, those are key points that we talk about because not all colostrum is uh, processed equally. A lot of it's processed at high temperatures, and that tends to deprive the nutrient profile and make it a little less bioactive. So yeah, colostrum. We've got the cartilage collagen. So the cartilage collagen, collagen products in general address joint, hair, skin, nails. We chose cartilage because it has a wider range of types of collagen and it has more concentrated nutrients. So, typically if you're using a collagen product, it's derived from hide. Ours is derived from the scapula, the trachea of grass-fed, grass-finished cows in New Zealand. So you're getting a richer source of collagen and a wider range of types with that. And then the female vitality, that's the female reproductive tract. That is the female version of the hormonal benefits that women typically like to achieve. And I like when Katie talks about this one because it obviously, she knows the product really well. She's used it. Her friends use it. So I'll leave that one there. The last one in our stack is the organ complex. So that's just liver, heart, spleen, pancreas. And that is more of a multivitamin, right? So if anyone takes synthetic multivitamins, they're not absorbing most of those vitamins. So if you're taking an organ supplement, it's highly absorbable. It has the cofactors so that our bodies can actually use the nutrients, and then the nutrients from liver, heart, spleen, pancreas, kidneys, a wide range of nutrients within those organs to really help energy levels, help overall nutrition. So yeah, that's the full stack, and that's just a quick quick overview on each of them. I'm happy to share more, like our our expanded product line if anyone's interested.
Yeah, and what are you seeing as expansion in the near future, in the long-term future? And specifically, like, how do you know when it's time to launch a new SKU, a new product?
Yeah, that's a great question. So our goal is to launch products as quickly as possible. So I'd say this year um we haven't been as quick to launch products because the newer ones that we're launching are requiring more R&D, they're requiring more iterations, and uh, that's one of the reasons we're moving into other categories. We have a tallow balm in the product pipeline that we're really focused on, and that's taken, over 7 iterations now to get the texture right, to get the formula right, to make sure it's stable. So many tallow balms, if you use them in the marketplace, they're actually unstable. So if they are heated, the entire formula gets, um, you know, becomes inactive and it becomes less effective, right? So having a stable tallow balm is really hard. And these are lessons that we're learning on the fly, right? Because we wanted to move into to a skincare product, not only because we use tallow balm and know the benefits, but we looked at the keyword data on Amazon, and it's a fantastic product to scale if you do it right. So yeah, tallow balm, and then we're launching a liver product. That one should be up and running in the next couple weeks.
Take me through that process of the actual numbers and things you're looking at. So let's say you're doing some keyword research. What are the main metrics you're looking at? Where does it need to sit volume wise? And then any other things that you're looking at ancillary to that for data of like, is this a good idea?
Yeah, so the keyword search term data is number one. That's what we look at on Amazon. We're looking for search terms that typically demand over 50K searches per is it per day? I think it is per day. So it's either per day or per week. I'll get back to you on that. My keyword search team, they work with me on that. So we look at those metrics. We look at the actual SKUs in those categories, in those specific keywords, how saturated it is. If there's a lot of competition, that's oftentimes a good sign, and it's validating. And we can use our PPC strategy and our brand credibility to get more traction that way. It's competition, it's keyword search term data, and then we do look at other brands in our space, and we're keeping a close eye on what they're launching. And since we're kind of the smaller, newer kids on the block, we do look to some of the larger brands to kind of help validate the ideas that we have.
And I think there's probably some other KPIs or things once the product has started to launch that you're monitoring closely. What are you looking at like right after the launch, and what's a time period to evaluate its success?
Yeah, so with Amazon new SKUs specifically, there's a honeymoon period. So the first month after you launch, set the start date on the listing. That first month is the most important to generate traction, where you can get lifts with the product, and then you can start to get subscriptions. And subscriptions are the key, right? That's what everyone's looking for. Um, After you show traction, you become eligible for subscriptions. So during that honeymoon period, enrolling in programs like Vine, which is how you can get reviews through uh, Amazon's ecosystem, where they give these products for free and then people review them for free. They review them objectively, so it's not like it's a fake review, it's a real review. But getting review traction, driving traffic to the listing. So if you have ads running, if you have campaigns with other influencers that are going and buying your product, really generating as much buzz around it in that honeymoon period is the most important. And then, I'd say we're trying to get better at what happens outside of Amazon and how to get traction early on there. I wouldn't say we have great answers there.
Tell me about this influencer strategy, UGC content. What feels like it's been working there, and what have been challenges in that regard?
Yeah, so it's been hard. It's been a hard game for us. I'd say, coming from the Amazon world, where we didn't need influencers to scale products, we're moving into new territory, and it's a bit uncharted for us. So I wouldn't say we're good at it yet. We use tools that give us access to influencers. We have a lot of influencers that love our brand, that will post on our behalf, just because they love our products, and they use them, and it's a big part of their regimen. So, attracting the influencers has been huge for us, and really supporting them, you know, collaborating with them, investing in them. That's been important for us. And then also, these other tools to get access to influencers, like join brands, and then kind of testing different angles with influencers through ads. That's been something we're working on now, and testing, but I wouldn't say we're exceptional at it by any means.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can learn from people that are just one step ahead. Maybe not even at expert level, right? But going through what someone else will go through in the near future if they're going to try something like that. So tell us about Join Brands. Tell us about like what are you looking for strategically as a brand when you're on one of these platforms that helps connect you with influencers? How is it you're establishing criteria for the creators? What kind of communication is involved, and what's worked and what's been challenging in that so far?
Yeah, great question. So we have an affiliate guide which walks anybody that's new to our brand through our story, through our products, through even simple compliance messaging that we have to make sure they are aware of. So having that being very detailed and very aligned with our brand, and we built it so it reflects Katie and I really closely, and how we want to you know portray the brand out there. So the affiliate guide has been super constructive, and then you know, we have right now, since we're small, we have us overseeing the scripting, overseeing what's being communicated. Um, at some point we're going to have to delegate that, and we're working on that. And so, getting our contractors really informed on the messaging, on how we want it to be positioned, that part's critical, and it's something that we invest a lot of time and energy into.
And tell us about that time and energy investment. So, what would a normal process look like for you in that, where you've got a new influencer coming on, you've got them this onboarding guide, you're walking through things, there's some back and forth. Like, what's the give us the nuts and bolts of how those interactions go usually.
Yeah, so it varies. Through Join Brands, for example, if we're doing a collaboration with an influencer, we do have to develop the scripting. So that can take, I mean, with AI, it takes a lot less time to build these hooks, to build the scripting. And what's great is we can have them record all the hooks. We can have them record different angles of scripting and different closings, and then we can mix and match it. So we can really do a lot with one creator, one influencer or creator, and take what they gave us and chop it up into, you know, 50 to 100 different variations. So that part's really important. With Join Brands, it's fairly streamlined with creators that we're communicating with directly through, our Instagram or other platforms. Typically it does take a little bit of back and forth where they're reviewing our affiliate guide. We're checking out what content they create and their style, and making sure, their our brands are aligned, and also that we're kind of playing to their strengths. Because we have one influencer, for example, that doesn't like to talk much. He likes lifestyle videos, right? So how do we make sure our products are fitting into his lifestyle videos, which are more just clips of his life, of eating, of his exercise regimen, and so really aligning our brands and making sure that we're playing to their strengths. That's been super helpful.
And then I'm curious when you think about like yourself and how at the front of the brand you are. Um, there's always like the idea that a founder story is really interesting. How are you? I know you have some stuff on the website, but is there something you're doing or plan to do initiative wise to tell more of the story of the brand of your life, of the saving effects of being able to take it for brain issues that you guys have gone through personally? Like, how does that fit into this narrative of like what you're going to be trying?
Yeah, and I mean, that's what all the best brands do. They have their stories out there. They have videos of the founders. I think of the top tallow bomb company on Amazon. They have a video of their founders in a field at one of their farms, talking about what led them to build that product. And we need to do more of that. I need to get more comfortable on video. We need to expand our capacity. Katie's, like we talked about earlier, Katie's a full-time nurse. I work full-time as well. So us having the capacity, or us dedicating our weekends to building these videos and getting them edited. It doesn't have to be us editing them, but putting them on our Amazon listing like that, or really promoting them within within our social channels, it's something that I'd give us like a C minus in, and we need to get to the point where we're an A. So that's a big part of this, and a best practice that is another goal on the wall that we want to aspire to.
A good start is coming on the podcast here, I think. And I'd say you're also quite critical of yourself and all the things that you guys, all the different areas. I hear a lot of like, we're not experts at this, we're like C at this, we're this. I'm curious where you think you're really good, because I want to hear what you're super passionate about as far as what you think you've done at an expert level that you do better than everybody else.
Yeah, I definitely say the Amazon game. We did well there, and we really scaled the company through that. So I'd say we executed well. We had the specific knowledge. We really dove in there, and I'd give us an A in that category. We're also we're also very tuned into our category in general because it's a part of Katie and I's lives, right? We're the consumers. We were originally looking for our supplements, so we scratched our own itch. That's really how we were so focused on the quality, getting New Zealand sourcing, single ingredients, very focused. So us being consumers in our small subcategory that we're in is going to continue to inform these product launches like our tallow balm, for example, and our ingredients that we've created are so unique to what we're looking for because we're highly critical of other brands and what we put into our bodies and the skincare products we use, the toothpaste we use, from everything from the floss we use. So because we think that way, we're very detail oriented. I'd say our ingredients are our superpower. Our Amazon game was our superpower, and the launching product side with the ingredients has been something we've been good at, I'd say.
It's great, man. I love to hear that. And I think that's, I would agree based on what I observe of you and have known about you. And that's exciting those are the things that you're really good at, because I think that that's led to a lot of the success that you have. And it seems like there's so much more awareness in the consumer space of what kind of ingredients are actually in here and having confidence that what I'm getting, what I'm being told that I'm getting is the actual thing, and that it actually impacts me in a great way. And I think consumers these days are just becoming more and more and more aware, for better or for worse, because I think there's a lot of information out there that contradicts itself, and you depending on who you decide to follow and what kind of media you consume, you may be getting information that's not correct. So it's tough to balance those things. I'm curious on your end from a product side, how is it that you go about the testing? How is it you go about ensuring that what you're putting in these types of things is actually what you're saying, and that the customer is getting like a really high quality product?
Yeah, this was a huge aha moment for us, seeing the other side of the ingredients world, of the sourcing world, because trusting blindly is something that a lot of consumers have to do. So, we found out recently with the balm that most tallow balms are unstable, right? Like what you're putting on your skin when you receive your tallow balm is an unstable version of these ingredients that compromises their quality, right? So we didn't even know anything about stabilizing. We didn't know that we needed a chemist in our lab to do the stability testing in order to make sure the ingredients don't change texture or change the entire nature of them if they're heated up, right? So having, and sorry, can you repeat the last part of your question? I lost my train of thought there.
Yeah, it's just making sure that, the testing that
The
you're doing
quality.
and the product that you're putting out there is what you say it is. And it can be hard because there's a level of blindness you're going into it with as a brand, because you're having to trust suppliers that are all the way across the country, all the way across the world, maybe all the way across the country, whatever it is. You've got labs that are doing these tests and having to certify things. But I'm just curious what that process is like for you guys and how you ensure the stability of it.
Yes, thank you for going back to that, because we chose New Zealand for that reason exactly. The testing prior to the powders being being harvested. So the powders are harvested, they're tested, and then they're tested again before they're shipped out. So the fact that they have such high agricultural standards, they have a whole ministry department that oversees it, and they have tons of vet experts. So they rigorously test them for microbes. They freeze dry them, which removes 99% of moisture, which is where microbes reside. So New Zealand was a big part of it because it's highly regulated. All their farms are regenerative. They don't know anything about like really pesticides over there or bad soil. Their soil is incredible. So the fact that they're so clean and even the climate is optimal for raising healthy cattle, that was the primary reason we went with New Zealand to source our supplements. And then when it comes to the States and we manufacture them. So when I say manufacturing, I mean the powders get put into pill or into capsules. They're gelatin capsules. They get bottled. They get sealed. Those are tested as well. So it's called a finished product certificate of authenticity. So we send it to a lab. They make sure it has no heavy metals. They make sure that the product is exactly what we say it is. So we tell people that our supplements and a lot of other supplements in our space, they're tested more than foods we have access to in our grocery stores, and they're tested far more and far more rigorously. So learning that and feeling more confident, especially in our product line, that's been a huge lesson, a huge kind of awakening and eye opener. A lot of other companies don't take those steps, and they'll source from Argentina, or they might source from cattle in the United States, and it's a different procedure entirely. So yeah, that's a bit of insight into it.
It's an interesting paradox in some ways because in the product space, especially supplements and consumable things for these potential customers, there is one, the level of consumer education that you have to do so that they know that there are benefits to certain things. And then on the other hand, you have more information ever available for these consumers to educate themselves. And you get both types of potential clients, right? You get some that are in these very early stages of just figuring out what are the benefits. And you have some that are so hyper aware of every little thing that they put in their body, on their body, using the different types of floss, toothbrush, toothpaste, all these types of things. And being able to cover the ground both ways with, some of the thought leadership content where the founder story is told, what's really important, why we're consumers of our own product, plus the UGC stuff where you have influencers and people spreading the word for you that have a lot of domain expertise in that particular industry. The Amazon side of making sure that, you're getting favorable listings and you're understanding the difference between the brand that you're building outside of Amazon and on Amazon. And yeah, it's interesting to see how these product brands get built up. And it really does start with what are the intentions of the founder? What are the intentions of the person that's running the business? And how is it that they can gain that trust? Because there is that level of blindness that consumers go into. So it's very interesting to see kind of the paradox around those things.
Yeah, it's been a big awakening for us, knowing the other side of the transaction that that we didn't know before, and it's just so easy. It's so easy for brands to be deceptive, and being all the information that people are demanding is important, and we have people that will ask us, "Hey, what exact amount of this organ is in each pill?" Right? Very technical questions. "Hey, can you send me your heavy metals report, your most recent one?" We do it. We're very transparent. We give everyone everything. We give everyone all the resources we have tied to these questions. So we understand, and we're partially because we're those types of consumers as well.
And I think that's great. The amount that you care is really what I think dictates the long-term success. And if you look at it as a long-term game where we're not going to cut corners, we're going to make the product that we know we're going to be proud to stand behind. We're going to make the product that we consume ourselves. And when someone who's at the head of an organization is deciding that and is living that, embodying that, it makes a really big difference in the consumer interaction. And as you've gone through that process, my curiosity are what are the lessons that you've learned? And I'm curious, the most non-obvious ones, the ones that were the most surprising, the ones that people wouldn't think about. What have you learned throughout the whole process?
A lot. It's been an awakening journey for sure. I mean, the lessons tied to obviously this category, supplements, I knew nothing about. I come from a software background, and knowing how, specifically how these manufacturers conduct themselves from a professional standpoint. We've had manufacturers ghost us when we were early stages. Like they wouldn't even, respond. They might, they might attempt to take our orders, and then once they find out that our minimum order quantity is 1,500 units, they stop talking to us. So, um, learning specifically about the industry, the supplement space, has been something entirely brand new for me. And then, operating the company in conjunction with working full time has been, uh, you know, it's been such a balancing act for me, and Katie, right? Because, she's travel nursing. We live in San Diego. We've lived in, uh, you know, three different cities in the past year because of this travel nursing. So, balancing, our work lives in addition to Primal, in addition to maintaining our good health, and having a social life, and
In a
really taking it.
relationship, right?
And yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're getting married in April. So, she's planning, I won't take credit for planning this wedding because it's her and our wedding planner, but that's thrown into the mix as well. So, really taking on more responsibility as a human being and being able to balance it out in a healthy manner is probably the most broad sense of what I've learned, with a lot of other, lessons along the way.
That's awesome, man. The way I like to end this is just to understand, like, what is Nick's legacy in the wellness industry? What's the movement that you want to be known for creating in the world?
Yeah, the first word that came to my mind is a transparent brand, and a brand that gives you insight into this world and the decisions that we make, and why it's hard to find, to get good information in the supplement space, and why, you know, organ supplements, nutrition fit, where that fits into a broader puzzle of your health, right? It's one piece, it's an important piece. Can Katie and I continue to launch products that will, have their place in your overall wellness and your overall health strategy, so that, we can help others like we've been helped by these supplements and these nutritious, options. So, that's the mission, to keep helping others achieve better health, and do it through ancestral wisdom that's really backed by modern science today. How can we keep doing that at scale? And we've served over 10,000 customers. We want to quadruple that. We want to 10 times that, right? So, as long as it's transparent, as long as it stays, aligned with our values, then we're gonna maintain that passion.
A key lesson I am getting from this and is very apparent to me is the transparency piece. So I love that word, transparency, and in the branding of a supplement, especially, or a product that people are going to be using on a day-to-day basis. They're going to be interacting with, consuming. It's going to be affecting their body chemistry. The ability as a brand to stand behind that, to be able to send resources, be a thought leader in that space. And also when someone reaches out for those types of really detailed questions of what's in this, you being able to provide the testing, being able to provide the ingredients down to, the super micro level. I think that's more and more going to be a huge competitive differentiator in a lot of this space, where it becomes easier and easier for people to just cut corners, white label products that are, um, shitty for for all other reason, and
Yes.
actually don't work. And so I think that that's a great competitive differentiation. And if you're looking at your business as a long term, if you can't stand behind what you're putting into the product that people are going to be consuming, then you probably shouldn't even be on a shelf.
Yeah, no doubt. And there's so many experts in the supplement space that can just churn out brands because they know the marketing game. They know the TikTok game, right? So, you're getting a version of that of a product that is kind of set up to scale based on those expertise, and you don't really know what's in it. Oftentimes it's not transparent. Oftentimes you're getting a colostrum that's been denatured. So yeah, just being super tuned into what you're consuming is how we live our lives and how we want our customers to think too.
Well, Nick, I appreciate the inspiration. I appreciate the transparency, all the things that you're doing in the space. I think it's really aligned to my values and what we think at Wellness Founders and what we stand for as far as making sure that we're showing brands that are doing things the right way. So super grateful for your time, grateful for your friendship, grateful to know you, and grateful for whenever this is going to be available in Colombia.
Yeah. Hopefully soon. I really appreciate it. This has been super fun, and just breaking down the brand, breaking down the model. It's super fun for me. This the details are exciting, and I find it very interesting and stimulating. So I appreciate you providing the forum for me to discuss it with you, and for your amazing questions.
Awesome, brother. We'll see you at your wedding.
Hey,
Bring some bottles
that's
for
a commit. That's a commitment right there. It's on
Yeah,
recording. It's in the script.
Hey, it's in the script. All right, brother.
Nice.
Take it easy. Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Thanks so much. See you, Jordan.